Now the next thing that we look at is what was the effect of the size of the pre-training data set, right? Um, so do the scale and quality of the pre-training data set matter? So how do we do that, right? So they first started with the clean filtered version of the data set, right? And this was like a very nice cleaning pipeline which they had introduced, which made sure that a lot of obscene content it filtered out, made sure that content, like often when you're scraping content from the web, you would find HTML articles which have some code inserted in it or some random symbols inserted in it, right? Because it's some random spurious website that you have crawled because you're crawling the entire web, right? At least the common crawl has a large number of domains that it crawls data from. So you might have a lot of this noisy content. So they had cleaned it, and that's what they call the colossal clean crawl corpus, right? C4, and that is what they used. So the next thing they tried was to use the unfiltered C4, right? Which was much larger. It was 8 times larger than C4. It was around 6.1 TB. And then they pre-trained the model on this much larger data, and then of course did the fine-tuning again on this specific tasks. And they did not find much use of using this very large-scale data as opposed to using their C4 data, right? Which shows that just adding a lot of data, if the data quality is not good, it's not going to lead to better performance. Or the other way around, even a smaller amount of data with good quality may actually help, right? So now to further evaluate that quality is really important, they created even a smaller data set which was curated from news websites. And then you would assume that news websites have better quality because many people read them, and it's curated content which is put out. So this is more trusted, right? So they created much smaller data which was 21 times smaller than C4. And then they observed that again it performs quite well, right? It's not outperforming the model trained by C4, at least not by any significant margin, but it still performs quite well even though the size of the data is much smaller. So that further reinforced their hypothesis that quality is very important. You should make sure that you add all the cleaning filters when you're using this pre-training data, right? And now today it's almost like a known or at least it's accepted wisdom that just throwing in a lot of noisy data does not help. You should make efforts to clean the data, and sometimes even a smaller cleaned data may lead to a model which performs better than just training it on large amounts of noisy data, right? So then they thought, let's scale it down further, and they just trained it on a smaller data set which was consisting of Wikipedia, right? And also the books corpus. So the idea here was that one data set was Wikipedia, which was the same as the pre-training data used in GPT. Another was Wikipedia plus book corpus, which was the same used by BERT. And the other one was something similar to the web text corpus, right, which was one of the data sets on which they evaluate their performance, right. And you can see that in some of the tasks, right. So Squad, for example, is actually a data set created from Wikipedia. So now if you look at the original performance, which was 80.88, now if you have a corpus which contains Wikipedia, then the performance improves, right? And many of the data sets in Glue actually have some derivatives of Wikipedia, right? There is some content which is taken from Wikipedia. So the conclusion here is that even if you have much smaller amount of data, but in your pre-training data, if you're going to include text from the domains on which you are going to test, right? It does not matter what task you're going to test it on. You could test it on suppose, say, headline classification or any of those things, right? But if you're going to evaluate it on tasks where the content or the text comes from Wikipedia, then adding Wikipedia to the pre-training data without any labels is actually useful, right? So, which again shows that you use high quality data, that is clear, but also diversity is important, and make sure that you have a coverage of many domains. For example, if you do not include any STEM content in your pre-training, then the model is unlikely to do well on downstream tasks which are dealing with STEM kind of content, right? So that's why have a good diversity and try to include as many domains in your data, because then whatever task you are going to perform downstream, they would belong to one of the domains that you have already included in the pre-training data, and you would have some edge on those domains, right? So that's about the pre-training data. So the main conclusions are high quality, diverse in terms of domains, and smaller is okay, but if you have clean corpus, then use as large as possible, right? Now, remember that they had 156 billion tokens, right? So the question is, do you need all of the data? Because currently for the 34 baseline model, it was trained only on a fraction of the data, right? It was trained only on 34 billion tokens. Then it has not even seen the entire data set once, and whatever it has seen it only once. So is there merit in repeating the tokens, right? So what does that mean? That suppose Wikipedia is your training data, and there's an article from Wikipedia, and you have created a context of 5 and 2 length from that article, and you have fed it during pre-training. Now you go over several other articles from Wikipedia, every time creating like a span of, or like a sequence of length 5 and 2, and then passing it to the model for pre-training. Now at some point, do you come back to the first article and show it again? Because up till now, like whenever people are doing supervised fine tuning, you do several epochs over the data, right? So you show the same training examples again and again, because you're doing this batch gradient, mini batch gradient descent, and you are adjusting the gradients according to all the samples, and then you may want to come back and see that, okay, what happened to the samples which I had seen earlier? Do I need to adjust again? Right? So any training typically goes over multiple epochs, at least in the supervised setup. But now in this case, given that you have large amounts of data, what should you do? Should you show a lot of unique tokens? That means if I have 1 million Wikipedia articles, should I show all of them once, or should I just take 100k Wikipedia articles and show them 10 times, right? So effectively maintaining the same number of tokens, right? But one is like repeating the data, and the other is always seeing fresh data, right? So what is it that is useful? So they did a study on that. So this is how they did that study, right? So their full data set was 34 billion tokens, and this we have already seen how this calculation was. Now what they did is they created a data set which contained 2 raised to 29 tokens, okay, and then repeated each training example 64 times. So this is what I mean by that. Suppose you had the first Wikipedia article, and it was contributing to these 2 raised to 29 tokens. So I've gone over all the Wikipedia articles, which totals up to 2 raised to 29 tokens, right? And then you again go back to the first article, repeat all of this. You may change the order, but you're going to repeat all the documents again, and you're going to do this 64 times. The alternative would have been that after you have finished the 2 raised to 29 tokens, take a new Wikipedia article and keep adding this till you get 2 raised to 35 tokens, right? So in both cases, you are effectively training on the same number of tokens, because you are taking 2 raised to 29 tokens and repeating them 2 raised to 6 times. So you get 2 raised to 35. The model is seeing 2 raised to 35 tokens during training. It's just that some tokens have been repeated. Whereas in the baseline model, it had seen all unique 2 raised to 35 tokens, right? And you can see that when you are repeating tokens, there is a slight degradation in the performance. What happens if you go further? Now I'm going to take only 2 raised to 27 tokens. So now the number of original Wikipedia articles has further reduced, and I'm going to repeat every article 256 times. And you can see that it already sounds a bit crazy. Why would you want to do that? Because for the same budget, it's better to show newer articles and newer content, right? And that's exactly what they were trying to conclusively show. And it's clear that as you keep increasing the number of times you repeat the data, the performance starts decreasing, right? And quite drastically when you just have 2 raised to 23 tokens. So that means the number of original content that you have shown is much smaller now, and you're repeating the same content 4096 times during training to get the same number 2 raised to 35, but you have seen just much lesser unique data during training, and that definitely affects the performance. And what is happening here is that the model has started memorizing the training data, which is never good, right? Because then you will overfitting on the training data and you will not generalize. And it's clear from the training curves that if you look at the full data set, if you look at the training loss, the blue one, it's still higher. That means it's not completely memorized. But if you look at the case where you only use 2 raised to 23 tokens but repeated them 4096 times, so by the end of training it had already memorized everything, right? Because the loss is very, very close to 0 right now, right? The takeaway here was that scaling that pre-training data, that means using more unique content as opposed to just repeating the content, is better, right? So that was the main takeaway from this experiment.